And I've heard from people screaming in pain and agony, saying, when is it going to stop? I can't do this anymore. I was married, I divorced, I lost my children, I lost my job, I lost some of my health, I lost this. I can't. Khalas. I'm waiting for the day where all this is over. They want a break. When am I going to get a break? I say to you, brothers and sisters, calm down and relax. There is no break. In order to reach the highest level in where you are thanking Allah for the calamity, you can only reach that level if you ponder and focus on your calamity, how much Allah took and how much more He left. And indeed, it is a great blessing from Allah Azza wa Jal that we are able to gather upon His remembrance and remind one another of the word of Allah Azza wa Jal, the greatest word and the greatest medicine and cure that was ever revealed to mankind. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down the Quran as a shifa and as a mercy, we all know this. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says that we send down this Quran as a source of mercy and as a source of treatment and cure for mankind. So a question that always should come up in the mind of a believer is, how do we seek shifa from this Quran? How do we seek treatment and cure from this Quran? Al-Ulama, rahimahumullah, they give us a very easy, practical way. Whenever someone is sick, whether it's a physical sickness or a mental sickness or an emotional feeling, whatever the case may be, or if you're suffering a spiritual disease, such as someone is suffering jealousy, animosity, hatred, whatever the case may be, Al-Quran is a shifa for all these diseases and sicknesses. Then the correct way to treat yourself with the Quran is to look through the Quran and to read the ayat that are relevant to your case. And then you read them once, you read them twice, you read them 3 times. Most importantly, you go and you read a translation, a tafsir, an explanation of these ayat, and you keep reciting them and presenting them upon your heart until you feel cured. And there is absolutely no doubt that anyone who has tried this way of seeking remedy and treatment through the Quran would almost instantly become cured. So tonight, as you heard, the lecture is, how does a believer prepare for calamities? Because calamities is something, and it is a part of life, and it strikes us all. And these ayat in the Quran are medicine for the people that don't understand calamities, or for the people that have a hard time understanding, why is Allah doing to me what He's doing? So we're going to read these few ayat from Surah Al-Baqarah, and we're going to have a bit of an explanation of these very famous and common ayat. We all know them. And we hope from Allah Azza wa Jal that He treats our hearts and cures our hearts with these ayat. Lillahi ta'ala, the aim is that we leave tonight having understood the concept of calamities and what Allah wants from us when a calamity strikes. These are ayat in Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah Azza wa Jal, He begins and He says, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Allah Azza wa Jal begins this ayah with a fact. He says, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ. That's the first word. He says, we are surely going to test you all. No doubt about it, this is Allah's promise. Now the question is, why is Allah even informing us of this fact? Why do I have to know? Why is He telling us? Simply so that you and I are not shocked and surprised when the test and calamity strikes. So He's informing us beforehand so that we are prepared and ready for the test when it comes. I give you a small example. I'm a teacher. I enter the classroom. I say to the students, close your books. You're having your final year exam right now. Everyone is shocked and surprised. You never told us. We're not ready. Like, imagine I'm a teacher, entered the classroom, said, brothers and sisters, next week I'm going to examine you on what we've studied. So when next week comes and I say, close your books, and I give you the examination sheet, no one is surprised. No one is shocked. Everyone is ready and prepared. Why? Because I informed them a week before. To Allah belongs the highest of examples. When Allah says multiple times in the Quran, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ وَالْخَيْرِ فِتْنَةً, the point of this is to prepare us and make us ready. So how come so many Muslims and so many people are shocked and surprised when the calamity strikes? We say, aren't you reading the Quran? Don't you read this promise of Allah multiple times? You shouldn't be shocked. We shouldn't be surprised. Rather, we should be prepared and ready because Allah has already said, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ, I will be testing you all. And He took an oath to it. That lam at the beginning is an oath. Then He said, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ. See, this kum means all of you. The male, the female, the young, the old. Even a 5-year-old may be tested with a severe illness. And the 70-year-old, لَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ, all of you, the rich, the poor, the kafir, and the believer as well, the prophets, the best of you, the worst of you, the righteous, the sinners, everyone will be tested. So already from the first word, our mind and our mindset towards calamities is being corrected. When you are righteous and you're doing hasanat and good deeds, and then Allah strikes you with a calamity, don't ever say, why? But I'm doing good. How about him? We know him, and these people are sinners and they're living a good life. Relax. You don't know how the test comes. But the test is a test for all of mankind. No one will be spared. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ. Then Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said, before we move on to shay'in, He said, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ, right? We're going to test you. I'll tell you something. There are people that are sick and tired of tests and calamities. I've met people and I've heard from people screaming in pain and agony, saying, when is it going to stop? I can't do this anymore. I was married, I divorced, I lost my children, I lost my job, I lost some of my health, I lost this. I can't. Khalas. I'm waiting for the day where all this is over. There are some people like this screaming agony, don't want calamities, they want a break. When am I going to get a break? I say to you, brothers and sisters, calm down and relax. There is no break. This is Allah's promise. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ, I will be testing you with calamities throughout your life. There is no such thing as put an end to my calamities. I don't want any more. That doesn't happen. That's not the words of the believers. Rather, the final moment in life will be the greatest calamity we face, and that is when the soul comes out of the body. So until then, you're facing all calamities, and that'll be the most difficult one. Allah Azza wa Jalla in the Quran, He referred to death as a calamity. He said, فَأَصَابَتْكُمْ مُصِيبَةُ الْمَوْتِ. The calamity of death will strike you. Why is death a calamity? Why? You know why death is calamity? It's a calamity for you. Why? But if your soul is the one that came out and you're put in your grave, how is it a calamity for you? You and I would have thought death is a calamity for your relatives because they lost a loved one. Death is a calamity for you, for us when we die. You know why? Because when you die, the ability to do good, righteous deeds has stopped. And that is the greatest of calamities. The book that is on the right shoulder, where the angels are recording your good deeds, has stopped. Now, if you want to go to Al-Masjid, you can't. Now, if you want to begin to pray, you can't. If you want to say one Subhanallah, you're not able to. If you want to say Astaghfirullah, you can't. If you decide to wear the hijab and dress the way Allah has commanded you, it's too late. That is why death is a calamity. Except, of course, for those who have set up righteous deeds for themselves in this life that continue to bring them hasanat while they are in their grave. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ. Allah Azza wa Jal said, بِشَيْءٍ. We're going to test you all with something, a little portion of hunger and fee. He said fee, hunger, loss of wealth, loss of life, and loss of provision. This word بِشَيْءٍ, it shows us the mercy of Allah. That when Allah is going to test us, He's going to go easy. He's going to test you with something, not with a large portion, something of fee, something of hunger, something of loss of life, something of loss of wealth, and something of loss of provision. See the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal, something. But you see this word بِشَيْءٍ, it teaches us something great about how we can pass a calamity. You know, whenever Allah Azza wa Jal strikes us with a calamity, there are 4 ways in which you can respond. Number 1, you can either be displeased with what Allah said to you. And whoever is displeased, Allah is displeased with him. And being displeased with the calamity is haram, it is a sin. And it's not going to stop the calamity, right? You're the one that's going to miss out on an opportunity of reward and goodness. The second way you can respond to a calamity is by being patient. We're going to speak about how do we practice patience when calamities strike. And that is wajib. Wajib. There's higher than that. And it is a level known as ar-rida bil-musibah. So that you're not only patient, but you're pleased with the calamity. What does it mean to be pleased with a calamity? For you to reach an understanding that whether the calamity happened or not, it's both the same. Imagine that. That's recommended. That's not wajib. If you can get there, it's great. It's a level in where, let's say you had a property and you lost it. And you're able to convince yourself to say, you know what, whether I had it or I didn't, it's all the same for me. It all came from Allah. Allah took it, doesn't matter. That's not wajib. That's recommended, high level. And there's a higher level than that. It is the level of alhamd, being grateful for the calamity. You may ask, how do I reach the highest level? In order to reach the highest level in where you are thanking Allah for the calamity, you can only reach that level if you ponder and focus on your calamity, how much Allah took and how much more He left. Remember we said, He said, بِشَيْءٍ, He'll test you with a small portion. That means He's going to leave a lot more. So, if you're tested in your wealth, okay, look at what you've been tested with. And then compare that with how much more Allah has left. Almost immediately you'll be able to say, Alhamdulillah for what Allah took, Walhamdulillah for what He left. If you're being tested in your health, focus on what Allah tested you with. What is it? Back pain? What is it? Toothache? Whatever it is. It's still nothing compared to what else He's left functioning for you. Your eyes and your sense of smell and your taste and your ears and your limbs and your organs and everything is working out. So in order to get to Alhamd, look at what He took, the small portion, and compare it to the greater portion He left. You'll be able to reach Alhamd. And this is a skill that the companions at Tabi'een practiced.